Josh Allen is better than you think. In June of 2020, 32 ESPN writers got together and redrafted the most valuable players in the NFL. And in that redraft, Josh Allen was selected 43rd overall and as the 22nd quarterback, which I think is a gross underestimation of his value. Now, the obvious supporting narrative for this is his skill set, the sum of the parts. Josh Allen has elite arm strength and can make downfield throws into tiny windows that only a handful of quarterbacks in the world can make. Josh Allen is a freakish athlete with a size and speed combination that we've rarely seen in NFL quarterbacks. He's a very, very dangerous runner when he gets into space. Josh Allen is tough, a fierce competitor, the kind of guy that you'd want to play for, the kind of guy that you'd want to lead your team. And maybe most importantly, Josh Allen has an intuitive feel for the game that can't be taught and that allows him to excel in chaos, to make plays when the pocket collapses, and to rise to the occasion when the game speeds up and the stakes are at their highest. So I will admit the primary counter-argument is strong. For all of the raw talent, the production just isn't there. In 2019, Josh Allen completed only 58.8% of his passes, good for 35th among 36 quarterbacks qualifying with 100 completions or more. And this wasn't an aberration. This was, in fact, the best completion percentage in his 2 years with the Bills, in his 2 years as a starter at Wyoming. In addition, last year, in his highest completion percentage year, the Bills averaged only 19.6 points per game, which is only 3 points per game better than last place Washington, and was 3.6 points per game lower than Philadelphia, the next worst performing playoff team from last year. So I agree. Josh Allen is going to have to improve upon his 2019 statistics and performance if the Bills are going to be a threat to make a deep run in the playoffs. Now, one of the primary reasons to believe that Josh Allen will do just that is that he has so little relevant job experience to date. 2 full seasons for the University of Wyoming. Note that in his senior year, he played against only one team that finished in the final top 25. 11 games as a rookie starter, but for a Bills team that arguably had the worst set of offensive weapons in the NFL. Zay Jones led the team in receiving in 2018. In the 2019 offseason, they signed John Brown and Cole Beasley in free agency and drafted Dawson Knox and Devin Singletary. So their 4 most dangerous offensive weapons in 2019 were all new to the team at the start of the season. In addition, the offensive line added 3 new starters and an important reserve. Now, this 2019 season, with a whole new cast of characters on offense, is pretty much all that we know about Josh Allen in terms of playing at the highest level of football with a team that can compete. Like when Omar of The Wire said, a man's got to have a code, a QB needs to have a system, a methodology and decision-making process that caters to his strengths and enables his success. Now, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, these guys, combined with their coaching staffs, figured out what works for them and excelled in doing it repeatedly. Most recently, with Lamar Jackson's MVP season, we saw how empowering the right system can be for a physically gifted quarterback. It only makes sense that on this point of the learning curve, with limited experience, that Josh Allen is still figuring out his optimal methodology and what it takes to be successful against the best. Okay, we're going to start our analysis by introducing a few basic principles that we'll call clock football angle theory. Now, in this example, tight end Dawson Knox runs out 10 yards and then makes his break. If he runs towards the arrow that points towards 180 degrees, then he's running directly away from the quarterback, who can see the numbers on the back of his jersey. Passes like this, to obtuse angles approaching 180 degrees, are difficult to complete. The other two variables that determine the difficulty are, one, trajectory. Obviously, Russell Wilson has mastered the concept that when throwing the ball to a guy who's running away from you, the more air that you can put under the ball, the easier the pass is to complete. And two, velocity. These two go almost hand in hand because when you steepen the trajectory, you're often decreasing the velocity. The slower the ball is zipping through the target zone, the easier it is to catch when you're running away from the quarterback. Now, the standard Josh Allen throw downfield is flatter and faster than most. And so when he throws to an extremely obtuse angle, let's say between 140 and 180 degrees, the degree of difficulty for a successful throw and catch is high. The logical point of emphasis here is Josh Allen has relatively little success making high velocity, flat trajectory throws to very obtuse angles where the receiver is running away from him and he sees the numbers on the back of his jersey. He needs to de-emphasize these throws and do less of this. The other side of this coin is when the receiver instead breaks towards 0 degrees and comes directly back to the quarterback, who can see the numbers on the front of his jersey, and where the receiver can adjust comfortably in either direction. Well, this is an especially easy throw. Of course, defensive coaches know this and guard against it. And in the NFL, clear sight lines and windows of opportunity close quickly. But whereas velocity is a negative when throwing to very obtuse angles, when trying to fit the ball in a tight window intended for a receiver who's coming towards you, arm strength can be a major asset. What Josh Allen lacks in pinpoint accuracy, he more than makes up for with arm strength on passes thrown down the field to acute angles and into small windows. When Josh Allen moves his feet and leaves the pocket in control, he's very dangerous. Not only is he an excellent runner, but he also throws well on the run and has an intuitive pocket presence and feel for the game, again, that you can't teach. Here, the threat of him taking off buys him some time and allows him to coordinate this connection with TJ Yeldon, who makes a very clever route adjustment here. Both the threat of the quarterback run and the passage of time consistently open up throwing lanes to good angles. Here, time and scrambling allowed John Brown to modify his obtuse angle go route by sitting down and squaring up, and as a result he's able to adjust the ball and make a difficult catch. These lasers that Josh Allen throws into small windows while on the run are very impressive indeed. And it seems that his touch is at least as good on the move as it is when he's static in the pocket. The summary of all of this? Josh Allen and the Bills seem to thrive when the game is fast and chaotic and Josh Allen is moving around in control. This is the second offensive play from Week 4 versus the Patriots, and is a pretty good summary of everything that I don't want to see from Josh Allen and the Bills' offense. We're going to call Frank Gore's pattern here a bend out, and define that as being close to the line of scrimmage while running away from the quarterback and turning your back to the defense to catch the ball. Let me list some of the reasons that I consider this to be a bad idea. These bend outs have very little upside because it's hard for the receiver to make any meaningful yards after the catch from this compromised position. Maybe a handful of guys in the league can snatch a perfectly thrown ball here and turn upfield quickly enough to be a running threat, but at 36 years old, Frank Gore is certainly not one of these. Next-gen stats, in fact, confirm the eye test. Josh Allen is near the bottom when it comes to accuracy on short passes. And this particular throw has the added difficulty of being a flat trajectory throw to an obtuse angle. And of course, it falls incomplete. Now what's worse is that the Bills' O-line blocks this pretty well, and yet Allen looks immediately for Gore, suggesting that his primary receiver is running a pattern on 2nd and 10 that we can expect what? We'll net a yard or two maybe? Not a great idea. All told, Josh Allen would target six bend outs in the first 32 minutes of the Week 4 showdown against the Patriots, completing 3 of those for a grand total of 10 yards. And as you can see, these are not only limited upside propositions, but also not easy throws and catches for Josh Allen and the Bills. Now finally, I don't like this version of Josh Allen. Passive, conservative, playing to his weaknesses. I just don't think that he can operate at a high level with this mentality. I want to encourage the confident and aggressive side of Josh Allen and would strongly prefer an up-tempo approach similar to Jim Kelly and the Bills' K-gun offense from the 90s. Let his athleticism and instincts take over. Let him go out and win you the game. Now, in fairness to Josh Allen and the Bills' staff, Week 4 was very early in the season, and the Patriots at that point were clearly the best defense in the AFC. And the film suggests that they learned a lot collectively after this low point for the offense. A half where Josh Allen was, by my count, 5 for 16 for 60 yards with 2 interceptions. Now this learning is clearly demonstrated by the juxtaposition of 2 plays in those Patriots games. Here in Week 4, you see Devin McCourty adjust from his customary single high cover 1 position into something that looks more like cover 2. However, sensing that Isaiah McKenzie's not much of a threat to run a go pattern, McCourty creeps towards the middle in anticipation and then gets a perfect break on the throw to John Brown. You can see from this angle, after Josh Allen took a quick peek over at McCourty, he locked onto his target and probably never saw the safety shifting over. Well, lesson learned, I guess. In Week 16, John Brown fakes a move to the open corner route and draws Stephon Gilmore only to double back to the middle. Devin McCourty, sensing blood after his Week 4 pick, anticipates the post, but Brown flattens his pattern and sneaks behind McCourty. And with no other deep defender to contend with, Josh Allen is free to loft the ball and let John Brown run under it. And he makes this deep throw look easy. Well done, Josh Allen and the Bills Brain Trust. Now from the other angle, it's amazing that Josh Allen is somehow able to hold the ball as long as he does, given that Lawrence Guy has clear aim on him almost immediately. The other big Week 16 play was also a deep ball. No safety help when Dawson Knox gets a step on Patrick Chung. And so Josh Allen lofts it up there again and drops it in there perfectly. Here's a couple more things that I liked from the Bills' offense as the season progressed. Here, Josh Allen threatens the defense with his mobility in the wild card game, and then gets the ball into the hands of the dangerous Devin Singletary with an easy acute angle throw and catch. Cole Beasley figured out that if he could align himself on an acute angle and create any reasonable window for a throw, Josh Allen would generally hit it. Between this and their adjustments when Allen left the pocket, Cole Beasley and Josh Allen developed an impressive chemistry given their short time together. Okay, let's go through a quick summary of my suggestions. Limit low upside short passes. Limit flat throws to difficult, obtuse angles. And when throwing to difficult angles, try to find ways to get air under the ball whenever possible. On the flip side, accentuate Josh Allen's strengths, his ability to throw downfield to acute angles. Increase the tempo and try to make the game chaotic and unstructured. Move him around as much as you can. Try to buy time so that downfield receivers can find their way into cracks in the defense and provide good throwing angles. Now, the one remaining way to get significant improvement that we haven't discussed is to improve Josh Allen's calculation machine. He needs to get better at recognizing what is a good throwing opportunity and what isn't a good throwing opportunity. The Frank Gore bend out example or a 70-yard heave to your fullback in double coverage are clearly not good risk-reward propositions. Now, to achieve this improvement, Josh Allen has to learn to know himself. Know his strengths and limitations exactly. Data must be captured every time that he throws a football and compiled so that he eventually understands the math behind every throw. For instance, how often do I expect to complete the bend out to Frank Gore? How many yards can I expect at the catch point? And how many yards can I expect after the catch? What percent of the time do I expect Patrick DeMarco to catch a 70-yard heave into double coverage? What percentage of the time do I expect this ball to be intercepted? After any throw, you should be able to ask Josh Allen these questions, and he should be able to provide a reasonable estimate based on past experiences. Now, it's worth noting that many of the crucial mistakes that Josh Allen makes are because he's trying to do too much. Because he doesn't have the proper amount of respect for potentially bad outcomes. Now, I want to give Josh Allen the car keys and let him attack, but in doing so, I'm asking him to dial it back 10%. Don't feel that you need to test the limits of your arm strength in dangerous situations or win the game by yourself. You've got a good team behind you. Finally, let's end with some quick notes on 2020 Bills offensive personnel and Josh Allen projections. Well, the starting offensive line is back intact, which is a big plus in a year with a limited preseason and where continuity will be at a premium. All the primary receiving options are back. And Beasley, Brown, Knox, and Williams all now have the benefit of a year of experience in the offense with Josh Allen. Solid third down back TJ Yeldon returns, and Devin Singletary looks well suited for the role of NFL feature back. Now, Frank Gore is gone, but in this case, I guess it felt like it was time. And his 100 receiving yards and 0 receiving touchdowns certainly weren't helping Josh Allen's fantasy football productivity any. As for the acquisitions, Stephon Diggs coming off a career year in 2019 with a whopping 12 yards per target. Figures to be an excellent fit with Josh Allen in the Bills offense, given his ability to run the whole route tree, his willingness to make contested catches between the numbers, And it's only a matter of time before Allen and Diggs end up on the Sunday night highlight reel with one of those long developing deep crossing patterns that he loves to run. And that should be made possible by Allen's ability to buy time. In the draft, the Bills selected bruising running back Zach Moss in the third round and big receivers Gabriel Davis and Isaiah Hodgins in the fourth and sixth. So, Josh Allen's fantasy outlook. Well, given an improvement in personnel across the board and the benefit of a year of experience in the offense for Allen, Beasley, Brown, Knox, Singletary, and Williams, combined with the important acquisition of Stephon Diggs, it seems only logical to expect Josh Allen's passing numbers to improve dramatically in 2020. If he plays a full year, I'll project between 3,600 and 4,000 yards with 22 to 27 TDs, both higher than ESPN's current projections. Their 11 interceptions seems about right, as does the decrease in running touchdowns, given that 9 is a very big number for a quarterback. But I expect him to go over the 510 yards gained in 2019. And overall, the net point changes probably cancel each other out. So all in all, this means I expect him to exceed the 2019 totals that earned him the sixth most fantasy points for quarterbacks. And as a result, I think he provides very good value if taken anywhere outside of the first 6 quarterbacks in standard fantasy football leagues. Okay, that's about it for this extended episode of Better Than You Think, brought to you by Clock Football. And if you have any feedback related to the opinions expressed herein, please feel free to share it in the comments section. Also, if you enjoyed this analysis, please hit the logo above and subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for your support.